Now, I can admit that there is a small group of individuals who genuinely need our aid and assistance in order to meet their daily needs, right? They need the quote unquote government support, which is not really government. It is actually our money, taxpayer dollars that then go into government, that are then siphoned out, hopefully in a strategic way, right? Shout out to Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. Hopefully, our money is going into places that actually make sense and going into the pockets of the people who genuinely need it. And these people are those who are mentally and physically unable to do certain things, right? But that's a small group of the population. A larger group of the population, however, a lot of people who are seen as the poor class or whatever it is, who are reliant upon government or reliant upon our money, aren't actually individuals who need it. These are individuals who take advantage of the system. Able-bodied, able-minded, grown folks who are making excuses throughout their lives, who are conditioned and programmed into believing that the welfare system is an entitlement to them, right? Let's not get that twisted. Ever since 1965, certain populations have been told that, well, the government, we owe you something, AKA, we're going to give you these incentives in order to get your vote, in order to stay in power, right? Because that's all it was really about. Shout out to LBJ, the master of this still active plan that's been playing out for the last 70 to 80 years. But you find that a majority of the individuals who are on the system or reliant upon the system, reliant upon our money, are individuals who I honestly have a genuine disdain for. A genuine disdain. There are people who are taking resources out of our pockets or even out of the pockets of those who actually need it. Like, let's say you have a grandmother. She worked throughout her life. She is now disabled. She's not able to go out there and work or whatever it is, right? She put money into a pension or put money into into Social Security. And then all of a sudden she finds herself at that last stretch of her life. And she has less resources because, Fred over there is walking into the damn unemployment office, collecting a check, walking into the disability or those insurance companies, getting himself a check, walking into the damn food stamp office, getting himself money loaded up on the card, yet he is able-minded and able-bodied. This is an individual who should be out working, should be out producing, should be out creating, should be the one contributing to be able to help grandmama who's on the other side of life now. But instead, grandmama gets less because this individual here is not taking care of themselves. That is a drain upon the system. And this is, when I was a young cat, when I was a young spring chicken, a much younger spring chicken, I guess some would say I'm a young spring chicken right now. But when I was a kid, I used to believe that it was a lack of empathy to believe that we shouldn't just be giving out everything, right? I used to believe that it was our duty, our obligation, our responsibility to continue to what I now see as enable this bad behavior. Well, they're struggling. They've been through a lot. Well, it's only fair that we take care of those who need to be taken care of. Oh, they're poor. So because they're poor, we need to put money in their pocket. Look, there are folks who have too much dignity to even take a check from their neighbor or from a family member, let alone leech off of the government. There are individuals who will be in poverty and will look for ways to get up out of poverty, change their mentality, change their belief system, change the way in which they move through the world, become more industrious, and build from basically the rock bottom, and will never take a check from the government, will never be willing to. Now, fortunately, this was much more common, maybe 70, 80, 90 years back, especially in places like the Black community, where it was a taboo to be reliant upon the government. It was a taboo to be a welfare baby. More people wanted to do for self. More individuals wanted to keep a family unit that would then build, a community unit that would then build. However, we're now in a place where that is the rarity. People are waiting to get a damn check from the government. I want my PPP, my EDD, my EBT. I want my handout, my handout, my hand. I deserve it. I am entitled to it. Oh, I had all these babies, so I am entitled to it. Like the government, or like we, because again, the government is just this in-between aspect. Like we, the taxpayers, made you lay up with them 3, 4 dudes you end up having kids with. And now we are responsible for the children that you then produced. We're then responsible for your lifestyle. We're responsible for your bad behaviors, because that's the reality. We might not want to face it. The full picture is the way that it is, but that's the reality. We are flipping the bill. Y'all are flipping the bill for somebody who made terrible decisions in life. Again, I said there's a very small group of individuals who genuinely are requiring and need it. And there's still some in that group who have too much dignity and too much self-esteem to ever allow themselves to have no control over their own lives. There's a grandmama, a granddaddy who will go work at Walmart. Okay, you know what? I didn't take care of my finances the way that I needed to throughout my life. You know what? I'm going to work as a greeter at the Walmart. You know what? I'm going to just pick up a little extra this, a little extra that here. Or I'm just going to budget out my money the best way. I'm going to move to Florida because they got the best taxes or whatever. I'm going to move down there because they got, better living expenses, etc. Give myself a little space, and I'm going to live out my life there. As opposed to, you know what? I'm entitled. I'm owed. I've been through a lot. The government owes me something. And you now have generation after generation who's picked up this welfare mentality. And the welfare mentality is a mentality that keeps you stuck in the very same limbo, because it actually keeps you disempowered. It keeps you, quote unquote, disenfranchised or marginalized. You remain as an individual who is reliant upon what I call sugar daddy government, right? I made a whole video about sugar daddy government. You become reliant upon this system. You create another generation that knows nothing but being reliant upon that system. And it is hell to break out of it. Just like any other habit, just like any other bad habit, it is hell to break it. If you've been drinking sodas every day, your palate for water is not going to be the same. It's going to be hell to break that soda addiction. Any addiction that you are breaking, any negative thought pattern, any negative behavior, any negative, expression, it's going to be hell to break it, but it's always worth it. But most people are not willing to go through that hell. Most people are not willing to do what is necessary. And so more and more people would just continue to rely upon the very same things and be dysfunctional. We have this fairy tale in our head, like, well, poverty is the byproduct of, simply a corrupted government. And I can say, okay, there are parts of that, right? If you go into socialist environments, communist environments, absolutely. Those type of governments are literally the perfect formula for poverty. It creates a poor population. Look into any nation that has taken upon them a purely socialistic, purely communist government, and you will see it implode on itself. They have to adopt capitalist values at some level. Even China, who, has an imprint of pure communism, like Marxism at its highest expression. They had to create zones in China that are capitalist zones. They had to. It's the only way they could play the game, because a capitalist system or free market capitalist system allows for the individuals to have incentives where you actually want to build something, which is capital, right? You want to build wealth, resources, you want to create level of significance or whatever it is, you can get it through building something. Instead of, the government's going to own whatever you build. Nobody owns anything. So why would you build something in that ecosystem, right? But nevertheless, you have a system that has been created. You have a system that has been perpetuated of poverty that is more of a belief system than it actually is an external institutional system. That's the God honest truth. Poverty is solved, they talk about like teach a man how to fish. Poverty is solved at a scale level through that ideology, not through NGOs, not through charity, because even for charity to be funded, you need capital. Right? People love to see charity as the ones who are doing the good and the businessman as the one who's doing no good. When in reality, 9 times out of 9, the business person is the one who is actually accumulating capital and then puts money into those systems. A majority of the money that goes into NGOs, that goes into any nonprofits, etc., is coming from the wealthiest class. 41% of taxes in this country, at least, or in the United States, is paid by 41% of the taxes are paid by 1% of the population. That's a God honest truth. These are just the stats. You might not like it. You might have been conditioned into, holding on to this idea of what it means to be wealthy and what it means to be poor. But the reality is economics are sometimes much more complex. It's not just, oh, well, I'm not rich because the man is holding me down. It might just be because you are holding you down. You are limiting yourself or perpetuating the limitations from your own childhood, your own conditioning, your own programming. You're holding on to beliefs that render you, that keep you in a place where you are powerless, that leave you in a place where you are unable to uplift yourself. If I believe that I'm not able to, confirmation bias says that I'm going to find every reason not to. And I had periods of my life, the earlier stages of my life, when I was first getting into business, etc., I blamed everybody else for the outcomes that I was not getting, as opposed to looking at myself. What skill sets am I building? How am I moving through life? Am I actually learning what I need to learn? Am I taking enough action? That was a huge one. Like I got into, manifestation and this and that and all sorts of things. And many of them were just forms of escapism. I would constantly watch just one motivational video after another for the sake of being motivated, instead of actually just taking action upon the things that I needed to do, as opposed to giving myself to my gifting, the thing that I could do the very best with the least amount of effort. Shout out to Steve Harvey on that one. That would then produce an outcome. I give the most value and get value in return. Simple. How do I do that? Well, I have to take responsibility of my own actions, what I am engaging and what I'm not, the people that I surround myself with, the environments that I put myself in. We have this mentality of have to. That's a very dangerous place to live. But I have to get this job. I have to get this. I have to. You don't have to. You may feel desperate. You may feel coerced. You may feel influenced, but you never had to. Nobody has, even if somebody had that thing to your dome, the chrome to your dome, it's not technically have to. It's just you would rather spare your life than do whatever that person's demands are. And so you don't have to do anything, but you can choose to do most things. It's just, are those things going to be fruitful? Are they going to add towards, the thing that you want to build out for yourself? You want to build a successful business, but you also want to just chill, relax, and really much do nothing and just zone out, right? You want to doom scroll more than you actually want to build something that thrives. Then that's going to be the outcome that you get. You'll get doom scroll results. You can't blame the system for that. And not enough money in the world will fix that. That's why you have lottery winners, athletes, etc., individuals who never built the mentality or the belief system to hold on to money. They never built the psychology that goes along with building money. That's why more times than not, entrepreneurs have a better time with money, because they had to usually build it in increments, right? You went from making your first 1,000, your first 5, your first 10, your first 50, your first 100, your first million, whatever it is, as opposed to one lump sum overnight. You go from nothing, boom, now you got millions of dollars. You will spend the million as fast as you spent the $10 that you found in your damn pocket. You did not build the psychology necessary to actually keep, to retain, let alone to actually grow that money, to actually invest that money, to let that money work for you, to let it be a seed. I'm no financial advisor, but I do understand that money and psychology go hand in hand. If it was just about strategy, everybody will be good. But instead, it's about who you are, what your habits are, the things that you value, right? If you value people's approval, validation, etc., more than you value, creating a stable nest egg, more than you do responsibility, things of that nature, your bank account is going to show for it. If you ever want to know what you value in life, look at your time and look at your bank account. That's it. Nothing else. Look at your time and look at your bank account. They will never lie to you what you actually value. Simple. So that being said, it's time to take ourselves off of the teat of big daddy government, sugar daddy government, any sort of system that we put reliance upon, and to actually become self-sufficient, which doesn't mean that you become a rugged individualist, but it means that within yourself you can build something that you can then give to the world and then receive value for that thing back. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Till the next time, peace.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar, now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. got a feeling the time's not. I see you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing